Mom, you were a teacher for your entire career. Do you think we should be firing that many people at the Department of Education?
I think it needs to be changed. Something is not right, for sure. The funds, I think, should go back to the states. The states should control the education, not the federal, the people way in D.C. I think the state government needs to control. Why, if you have a choice, too, to go to different schools for your child, why wouldn't you want that? To go to a magnet school or a art school or a math school. Why would you not want a voucher to put your child in that direction that they want to go?
That's not what they're offering. They're offering a voucher to a private school.
So the parents will have to pay that money.
That costs
No, that the state is going to start paying for that. Not you.
No, they're not. They're going to offer you a $10,000 voucher. Your tuition per semester is $20,000. So let's say you have 2 kids. You are going to have to fork over $20,000 every semester just for your kid to go to private school.
I didn't understand it that way. I don't understand.
That is how it is.
The plan here is to make the federal agencies so understaffed and broken they can't work, then they privatize it. Linda McMahon is going to open her own company once the Department of Education collapses. She's going to have a company waiting in the wings. We are now the United States Education Board, or whatever it's going to be. And all of those private schools will have to pay her money. So she's just sucking money through taxpayers, but not even through taxes. You're going to have to literally pay these schools to send your kids to them. And then that money's going to...
This is what you are assuming is going to happen. You don't know.
I didn't know his mom was a teacher. It's always disturbing to hear people who were or are educators or administrators in education advocate for the shit that's going on within the Trump administration when it comes to the dismantling of our education system in this country. It's something that, so we, like so many other places, we have our local school board election coming up here in Shanahan. Shanahan School District, a consolidated election. I believe it's on April 1st. Recently, we had a Meet the Candidates night. We have 8 candidates running for 4 positions. We have the 4 incumbents, and then we have 4 challengers. And there was a Meet the Candidates night recently, and people could write a question on a piece of paper and slip it into a bowl. And the PTO that was running the thing was going to take some questions out of the bowl and read them aloud. Not every question was going to get read aloud. Not every question was going to get answered. But they asked a few questions of these candidates. 7 of the 8 candidates made it. 1 had a scheduling conflict and simply could not make it. My question was not read. So I took my question to Facebook. And I think it is important to know if the people who are running for your local school board agree with or disagree with the abolishment of the Federal Department of Education. And of the 8 candidates running for school board, 1 reached out to me personally and said, one's wife reached out to me personally on a message and said, here's my husband's email if you want to ask him. And I appreciate the gesture, but I'm looking for the candidates to answer this question in the public sphere so that the entire town, or as many people from the town who are on the talk, it's called Talk of the Town around us. It's a Facebook page. As many people from our community that are on that page can see the answer. Instead of you just telling me the answer, how about you just tell it to all of the taxpayers, right? So a wife reached out, one of the candidates' wives reached out and said, here's his email. Another candidate reached out to me in private message and gave me a rather detailed answer. And to be honest with you, that candidate, I was already leaning towards voting for that candidate anyway. But none of them, not one of them, would answer it in public on the Facebook page. One of them, a 20-year incumbent who I've had a personal grievance with for the past several years, engaged in a 3-day-long conversation with me on this Facebook thread, answering other questions, having prolonged conversation, but will not, for whatever reason, answer that question. Do you agree with or oppose the abolishment of the Department of Education? I think that it's incumbent upon all of us to ask that of all of the people who work in our education system. Because at the end of the day, if you are in agreement with the abolishment of the Department of Education, I can't give you my vote. And I suspect that's why none of these people will answer in public. Because the ones that don't agree with it are going to find themselves getting backlash from the conservatives and the MAGA movement in town that want it abolished. And the ones that do want it abolished aren't going to get the votes of the people who disagree with that. And since we are now an extraordinarily purple town, I mean, used to be deep, deep red, now very purple. They're all walking a line, and it's disappointing to say the least, that they're all walking this line and refusing to answer this question in the public sphere, when I think it's a valid question. There are even some people in the community are even disguising it as, well, there's no place for politics in our school board. Agree completely, which is why all of our board members run as independents. There are no party affiliations. And they say that me asking that question is a tell me who you voted for without telling me who you voted for scenario. I disagree wholeheartedly. You could have voted for Donald Trump and still disagree with the dismantling of the Department of Education. And you could have voted for Kamala Harris and still agree that the Department of Education should be dismantled. I think it's important to know where the people who are running our school districts stand on the existence of a federal Department of Education. And when I see educators actually take that stance, that the Department of Education should go, these people should be fired, no, I can't get on board with that. And I fear that we're never going to know from any of our candidates, because none of them are ever going to stand up and say it in public for whatever reason.